right, number 3. Wow, we're getting down to the final ones.
So number 3 on my list. So there were obviously a lot of horror movies that came out. Not very many of them well done. Even we've got like you should have left with Kevin Bacon, that one that came to streaming directly. We had the Grudge remake, which I love the original Ju-On, the Japanese film, which is terrifying. And the one with Sarah Michelle Gellar was like, okay. When they said they were going to do a reboot, I'm like, why? Why are they doing that? And it turns out everyone else felt that same way after they saw the movie. So in a sea of horror movies, I'm going to go back to one of yours, The Invisible Man. Makes number 3 on my list because that's the claustrophobic setting. It's one of those almost like Rear Window that you mentioned earlier. You're kind of ensconced in this thing, which makes that heightened feeling of tension as you're watching the movie. And plus the fact that these are based on universal monsters from way back, they have to give us fresh takes. And I think they did a great job giving us a fresh take on this with the going from the normal, we think of a universal monster thing, to that stalker type setting. And Elizabeth Moss, I mean, when is she not good? So yeah, I think that was definitely a great film.
I love the memes that popped up, I think around the time of The Invisible Man, where, wow, Elizabeth Moss just hasn't been able to date anyone good since she dumped Charlie from West.
Very true.
I do love going to the Universal Horror. The Invisible Man has the highest body count of any of the Universal Horror.
That's interesting. I did not know that.
He derails a train in The Invisible Man.
Oh. Yeah, I guess if you take that mass casualties, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of beats out Dracula for sure.
Definitely. All right. My number 3 is my favorite, is what I think is the best movie of the year. And this one might be cheating because it is in that gray area. Did it come out this year in 2020, at the end of 2020 or the beginning of 2021? Promising Young Woman.
Oh, I've heard good things.
It is amazing. Carey Mulligan does an amazing job as a woman who goes after men that like prey on like the ones that take the drunk women home with the nice guys that like, oh, you're too drunk to come on back. But she does a great job. Emerald Fennell. She wrote and directed this. This is the first feature she's written and directed. I will see her next movie sight unseen. She's not afraid to let the camera stay still on a shot. She's not afraid of silence. It is incredible. It is disturbing. It is probably like The Invisible Man, one you might not want to watch if you've had certain bad things happen to you. But dear God, I'm not going to say anything else about it because it literally just came out to us within the last month and a half to 2 months. But if you can't afford it now because of high rental prices because it's brand new, it is definitely worth any rental price, $9.99. Like if it's a movie theater rental price, rent it. I highly recommend it. It is, if it doesn't win, if it's not nominated for almost all the Oscars, for all the awards. I know Carey Mulligan got a nomination. I don't remember if it or Emerald Fennell got nominated for Golden Globes, but it damn well better get nominated for Oscars.
Yeah, it's on my list. It's one of those I just haven't gotten around to seeing yet, but it looked very good.
I got lucky and I got a digital advanced screening ticket to see it. So.
Nice. Very cool.
All right.
Yeah, it's on my list for sure.
What do you got, James? Number 2.
Number 2. I'm going to put this one out as number 2 because it just barely got edged out by one more. Tenet.
Tenet. That's in my honorable mentions. Mine is The Gentleman.
Good taste.
All right. Let's talk about Tenet.
So Tenet was the first movie I saw once theaters opened up again because it came out Labor Day weekend and Marcus Theaters had opened up. So I'm like, oh, this one I want to see on the big screen because I'd heard a lot of stuff. Obviously, just the people behind it, they know what they're doing cinematically. But my goodness, it's one of those movies that you probably should watch again just so you can kind of see things. You'll watch it the first time, and it's very hard to describe Tenet to somebody just because the way the story kind of weaves. Like it's Memento meets The Matrix. It's very convoluted to try to explain, but when you see it, you get it. And then it deserves a second and third watching, just so A, you can catch everything, but the performances are that good that it just, even Kenneth Branagh, who kind of plays a typical Bond villain type, does it very well. So I think it was easily one of my favorite movies. And again, it kind of has that coordination of also being the first movie I saw out of quarantine, which made me warm and fuzzy to be able to see it in a theater. So for that reason, it hits number 2 on my list.
Yeah. Tenet is the number 2 reason why I'm pissed off about this pandemic. The number 1 because of horrible virus, loss of life, everyone's second. But Tenet was supposed to come out on my birthday. It was supposed to be my birthday movie. A Christopher Nolan birthday movie. That's the dream. But no, I greatly enjoyed it. I need to watch it a second time because my roommate asked me what I thought about it, and I said, I loved it. I'm not sure I understood a lot of it, but I loved it. Okay, you know how people say that Inception confused them?
Yeah.
And how I don't understand when people say Inception confused them, because everything is like stated. Like everything is explained to you greatly, other than the ending of Inception, which everyone can talk about until the cows come home. This movie is how I feel when people say they don't understand Inception. I need to rewatch Tenet because I didn't quite grasp it, but I greatly liked it. It makes me excited to see Robert Pattinson as Batman because, yeah, he did a great job in it. Yeah, I really, really liked it. I can't wait to see what Christopher Nolan does next. I really want Christopher Nolan to tone it down a bit. I want to see him go back to a smaller movie like Memento, like I'm assuming because it's the only one of his I haven't seen following. But having said that, going into my number 2 movie, The Gentleman, that's what Guy Ritchie did. It's like he scaled it back to going back to Lock, Stock, and Two Splendid Barrels, or Snatch, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. But also, like going back to Aaron Sorkin, I watched this movie because the dialogue and the emphasis on words and those amazing accents, which, oh my God, Hugh Grant's Cockney accent. It is just amazing. And I would call this Guy Ritchie's Quentin Tarantino movie.
Yeah. With
the, like, Hugh Grant's talking about cinema and then going and the aspect ratio changes and all of that. It is, yeah, this is one of those movies that, it may also be because it was the first movie I saw this year before everything happened. And anytime the first movies you see in the year wind up being on your top 10 at the end, you know it left an impact.
Yeah, it was that way for me with Split when it came out in 2018 or 2017. Wow. But I was like, even though I saw it like January 3rd or whatever it was of that year, that made my top 10 list for sure.
I just found out Michelle Dockery wasn't supposed to be in it. It was originally going to be Kate Beckinsale.
I could see it being Kate Beckinsale, but I think Michelle Dockery did a great job.
Regal, and I don't want to say regalness because that just seems like I'm saying Downton Abbey.
But no, I get what you're saying. Yeah, there was a certain refined quality. And I'm not saying Kate Beckinsale couldn't have it, but I also, Kate Beckinsale does the lower end, the Celine from the Vampire, and she does kind of like that harsh, she could knock back a beer and curse you out kind of a person as well. So yeah, but I think Michelle Dockery did a great job.
And seeing Colin Farrell being this man on the street, normal guy for once, really nice. He's good as just kind of the guy who's seen things and is happy being a normal schlub.
Yeah, no, I think the casting was really well done.
I'm thrilled to see him as Penguin.
That'll be interesting.
Seen photos of him?
I have.
I don't recognize him at all.
He's not one of my favorite actors, but there are certain parts it's like he was really good in that one. So yeah, he's one of those actors. Could take him or leave him, except in certain roles. That was a great role. Yeah.
All right. Number 1, what is your favorite movie of 2020?
All right, number 1 on the list for my favorite movie of 2020 ended up being, we're going back to streaming, Greyhound with Tom Hanks.
I have not heard of that, which is kind of nice synchronicity because I'm going to bet you have not heard of mine. I found this on Amazon Prime. A Christmas Cancellation.
I don't think I did actually hear about it.
I'm going to bet this is on no one's top 10 list of 2020 anywhere in the world, but it is number 1 on mine. I'll tell you about it in just a minute, but tell me about Greyhound.
So Greyhound, I'm a World War II buff, so anything World War II I love. and it's Tom Hanks, which he's never not good in anything, but it's also plays into the Tom Hanks stereotype of you don't ever want to be on a moving vehicle with Tom Hanks. He's the first time he's a captain of a ship, and they're taking, the convoys across the Atlantic during World War II, where they had to be on the watch for the German wolf packs, all the submarines that were hunting ships and taking out, and so the American ships are protecting him. He's on a destroyer, and he's kind of captaining this fleet as it moves across the Atlantic. And it, again, the ocean is this vast place, but you've got this tight, claustrophobic feel of, you don't know when these submarines are going to come out of the water. I mean, this has been a movie staple since World War II, where you've seen him in like the Twilight Zone episodes. There's movies like Das Boot and even U-571, where it's this kind of edge of your seat. You don't know what's going to happen. Are these people going to make it? People die, ships get sunk. But Greyhound was well done, well shot. It was very tight, claustrophobic, and it's almost when I guess it's a bit of a spoiler, but when he gets his fleet across the Atlantic and they're coming into where the other planes can come out and protect them now from submarines, you breathe a sigh of relief, because it's like, oh, you feel like you're holding your breath the whole movie. It is an excellent movie, and I don't think I saw one that had me on the edge of my seat as much as that movie in 2020.
Was that on Apple TV?
It was, yeah.
Okay, I think I heard about that. I think I saw a trailer for that on YouTube, but yeah. All right. A Christmas cancellation I found on Prime when trying to find Christmas movies to watch. It's about 5 friends who are living in a house. 2 are married, 2 are in a relationship, and 1 is the funny guy. Mm-hmm. And one of them finds out because the funny guy brings her into a room that she doesn't recognize as being part of the house. Everything goes gray, everything goes chromatic in color scheme. And she finds out they're not real. She finds out they're living in a sitcom. And the sitcom is about to end. The series finale is coming.
Huh.
So the funny guy has been trying to keep the series from ending by, he sees where, the plot lines are going and tries to sabotage, the couple is gonna get a house. No, because he knows that when the series ends, their lives are gonna end, so they have to figure out a way to to keep the show going. Huh. And as the other people wind up finding out the truth, it gets really existential and dark, and it's probably my number one because it feels the most like something I would have written 10, 15 years ago. And it's very it's very indie. You can tell this was filmed in one house with the stuff that they had. It is incredibly dark. Have you seen Ruby Sparks?
No.
Well, see Ruby Sparks. It's Paul Dano and Zoe Kazan, but it's very much like that, where reality is kind of in flux. And it jumps around between being sitcom funny and dark. And I highly liked it. It surprised the hell out of me because it's a direct-to-DVD movie on Amazon Prime called A Christmas Cancellation. I wasn't expecting anything, but it blew me away.
Wow.
But yeah, it wound up being my number 1 movie of the year.
Huh. I'll have to check that one out. A lot of times those movies that you don't see coming are some of the best movies, too.
Mm-hmm. It's why I really miss working at a little video store, because I would watch every single movie on the new release wall and find movies that how did this not get more advertising? I would love to see this in theaters.
Just the marketing budget or the people working on it did not care to promote it, one of the two. But yeah, that's I know one of my all-time favorites is Mystery Men, which got panned by the critics. You didn't see much about it when the previews were coming out or anything, but it was so good, so funny, great cast. But yeah, it's much like The Christmas Cancellation. I think certain movies that you don't expect are some of the best movies.
Mm-hmm. Well, there we have it. Our top 10 movies of 2020. Do you have any honorable mentions you'd like to throw out, James?
I'm trying to think of some of the ones that The Last Full Measure, I'm going to put on my honorable mention list just because it was the last live action appearance of Christopher Plummer. Now that we just lost Christopher Plummer, he's going to have one more role as a voice animation in a movie coming out this year. But so I'm gonna put that one on my list just because it's heartbreaking that we lost someone like Christopher Plummer. He had a good run. 91's not like we lost him early, but still, it always hurts when the good ones get taken from us.
Mm-hmm.
And you said Tenet was on your honorable mention?
It is. Let's see. I've got Tenet. I've got Soul, which I just watched today. I've got Wonder Woman 84, which I had a lot of fun doing. Bill and Ted Face the Music.
I didn't see it yet.
It is one of the few times it's been 20-something years since the previous movie. It really works just because the plot, the one-line plot of these two guys were supposed to write the music that changed the world. What happens when they didn't? And that, I think, is the perfect... I think that's the only way you could have done a Bill and Ted sequel.
I just like that Keanu was willing to come back for it after all the box office success he's had, that he was willing to come back for it. Makes me want to see the movie.
You got it. I think it's because we're in this Keanu renaissance. Like, hey, I'm hot stuff now. We can finally do a Bill and Ted sequel.
Right, yeah, that could be too. Yeah. So that I'm going to have to put that on my list. I just haven't gotten around to seeing it yet.
And let's see, I got a Psych 2, Lassie Come Home, which is the second movie of the TV show Psych. Which is one of my favorite shows of all time. And unlike the first Psych movie, which I still liked, this one definitely felt more like the show. It felt like this is a long episode of the show. It also deals with Timothy, I want to say Omildson. I've never been able to say his last name. He plays the detective on the show. He had a stroke in real life, and the entire thing was written around him, because to get him back into acting and to focus on that, it really tugged on all the heartstrings. And then I've got a trio of horror movies that are really, really dark and intense. I've got The Owners, which has Maisie Williams from Game of Thrones and Sylvester McCoy from Doctor Who.
I've heard of that one. I haven't had a chance to see it yet, but I'm going to have to check that one out.
Slow burns, but they get really friggin' intense. I've got Vivarium with Jesse Eisenberg and Imogen Poots, which feels like a really long Outer Limits or Twilight Zone. And I've got The Lodge, which is a new Hammer horror.
I saw the previews for that one. I did not get to see it though, but I saw the previews. It looked good.
Yeah, all three of those are slow burns. They take a little while to get into, but when they do, it gets intense, it gets disturbing, and they get really, really dark. I highly recommend them.
I will definitely, because I'm a huge Sylvester McCoy fan, so I will definitely have to check out that one too.
That one, Owners, is on Hulu. So
perfect.
Didn't spend anything.
Perfect.
Yep. Anything you're looking forward to? I mean, yeah, we got Black Widow, we got Bond, we got all the movies that are pushed back. Anything specific you're looking forward to?
I need a Bond film. It's very interesting. I'm a huge Bond fan. I've read all the Ian Fleming. In fact, I might have all the Ian Fleming novels, the original ones back here. Huge fan of Bond. So I find it interesting that in Daniel Craig's career, we've had Casino Royale, then we've had The Quantum of Solace, and we've had Skyfall, and then Spectre's like here. So I'm hoping No Time to Die kind of puts him out on a high note, because Spectre was not a high note for me. It was like Skyfall light. So I'm hoping No Time to Die.
Fine. Spectre was fine, but I think coming after Skyfall and Christoph Waltz, and even though they didn't say it, we all knew he was Blofeld. We all wanted more. I can see why Spectre left people kind of wanting more.
Yeah, so I'm hoping No Time to Die. That's what I'm looking forward to most, and obviously Black Widow as well, because I'm a huge Marvel Cinematic fan. I'm not sure if they'll change aspects of it now that we've seen some stuff in WandaVision, but that's a story for another time.
I think for me, outside of Black Widow, is kind of a tie between Mortal Kombat, because we get James Wan producing. James Wan is also one that if he is producing, if he's directing anything, I'm there. And it's an R-rated, I'll see that. And The Conjuring 3, because outside of the first Annabelle, I've loved everything in this Conjuring universe.
Yeah, The Conjuring, I think, is probably my, of the 2000s, probably my top 5 favorite horror movies of the 2000s. So, yeah, it was brilliant.
Yeah. All right, well, James, thank you very much. Tell my 4 to 5 viewers where they can find you online.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Geek to Me Radio, Facebook.com/Geek to Me Radio. If you could give the page a like, we'd love that. And also, if you want to catch up on the shows, you can go to anchor.fm. All the shows are there. And obviously, youtube.com. I'm trying to get my anemic YouTube numbers up. So please go to YouTube, find Geek to Me Radio, give us a subscribe, and hit that little bell icon so you get notifications every time we post a new show.
And for me, you can like and subscribe here. I've got a Facebook page. I've got Instagram and Twitter. All that is in the description.
I'm James Enstall, host of Geek to Me Radio.
And I'm David DeRose, and we are Cinephiles.